When people think of the early FNAF era,
she is such a bad though.
They usually think of the living tombstone, Pretty Grumpy Bear, Predator number 1, Predator number 2. You know, let's just stick with the living tombstone. But one person that never gets thought about by normal people is Rebornica, also known as Holy Shit, Why Do You Have So Many Names? The chokehold this artist had on the early FNAF fandom needs to be studied, because even nowadays, people keep Rebornica's ideas alive without even knowing it came from Rebornica. Artists don't really have much of an impact on the FNAF community, especially since it's so vast. And I mean actual artists. You know, people posting their silly FNAF art on the internet. Yeah, you could probably list off a few that are really popular, but it's rare for them to have an entire fandom built around their art inside of another fandom. You know, they made a movie about this. Pole Bear, Grey Wolf Quinn, aka Predator number 3, Quiet Tomato, TG Weaver. All significant artists across the FNAF fandom timeline, yet still never quite matched up to the legacy Rebornica had built. And what's crazy is Rebornica did so little, yet they made waves across the FNAF community. This wasn't some real-time studio marketing push to make FNAF in real time a household name. No, Rebornica was just simply doing shit. Rebornica had something most FNAF fan content lacks most of the time, and honestly, everything else. Like, seriously, watch any Game Reveal event and count how many of those games just look like Dark Souls. Character, style, it wasn't necessarily all that impressive, but it was unique.
I beg your pardon?
And it was just a thing an early fandom needed to latch onto.
Who's the bun?
I'm the bun.
Louder!
I'm the bun.
Louder!
I am the bun!
Shut the f up, will ya?
You can split the FNAF fandom into multiple sections, but for simplicity, let's split it into two. Consumers and creators. Consumers are your theorists, your Let's Players, your reactors. They appreciate FNAF for what it is. But the joy for a creator is taking what Scott made and doing something with it in your own style. Creators are fan game devs, the VHS guys, and unfortunately, gotcha. But this also includes artists, and for the Tumblr side of things, they don't deal in canon, they deal in headcanon. Now, Scott really didn't offer much substance to play with in terms of things to make fan fictions about. FNAF 1 was incredibly bare bones. Multi-million-dollar franchise, by the way. There were no fleshed out characters to mischaracterize. You were making fan content out of scraps. So it's either you make something out of those scraps like the FNAF 1 song, or you get a little silly. Rebornica chose the latter.
Five Nights at Freddy's Smart Edition. Come into the office the moment it's 12 a.m. using your XXMLG Pro 69 Swag XX teleportation powers.
I'm fucked.
Smash through the window.
What up, bitch?
Get the fuck.
Keep banging until the power is out. Immediately slide in when you have the chance instead of standing and staring.
I'm fabulous.
Or you can go get a different fucking job.
Meet Mike Schmidt, a self-centered prick who's very aware of the supernatural tomfoolery of the Freddy's establishment, but too stubborn to quit. The bills are high. Canonically, according to Rebornica, Mike Schmidt is doing this job because he wants to buy a ring for his significant other, Doll Schmidt. But come on, this came from Tumblr. Of course they ditched her and made him gay instead. The animatronics take this silly approach as well. Instead of old rickety machines possessed by the souls of children, they're that, but goofy. You've seen it before in SFM, Five Nights at F-Boys. It's pretty much character assassination, but it's okay because it's funny. The streets call it parody, but no, this is comedy.
Freddy, what are you doing over here? Oh, Foxy, perfect timing. Hey, put me down, lad!
It's stupid, but people ate it up. Rebornica's Tumblr became a spectacle, their comics an addiction, and this skyrocketing popularity opened up doors for a niche genre of content where voiceover channels would dub over their work.
Stupid fox! You made me look bad!
My face!
It didn't matter if the comic was one panel or several. Rebornica posts, the dub of whatever shit post they thought about would be made immediately. And it wasn't just the digital art they dubbed over. No, Rebornica could post a few sketches they did in the free time, and that would be enough to get these people in the booth. And some people were really just doing it for the love of the game. The FNAF 1 era was like the first week of the 2-week Minecraft phase of Rebornica's reign on the FNAF community. But still, it wasn't quite to the heights that put the chronically online side of the FNAF community in such a chokehold. FNAF 1 had a small cast, there wasn't much to play with. Rebornica's main focus was obviously low-stakes comedy. But as more lore was extracted from the game, there were room for moments that weren't just haha Tumblr humor. Like, for example, the running theory back then was that Mike was the bite victim and Foxy did it. And I think that went full circle with one of the latest books. I mean, I don't know, I'm a FNAF boomer, I'm still trying to figure out what Scott meant by this. Rebornica took that same Foxy theory and said, it's free real estate.
Why don't you finish the job, Captain? Come on then! Finish the fucking job then! What did I do to get this? You could have ended me, but no! You let me suffer! You were my hero! I trusted you.
And then the next comic is some goofy shit, by the way. Even with all of that, the problem was as the days went on, the longevity of the FNAF 1 setting was being stretched thin. Yeah, there were other characters thrown into the mix like the boss, their pitch for their owner of Fazbear's, but his screen time was minimal because the actual cast was just so much more fun to work with. But Rebornica was running out of characters and jokes to tell with them. But cue the mercy gift, Scott came back with answers. With one game release, Rebornica's silly comics went from glorified shitpost to a cultural movement.
You wish that I was still right there, used to live right there, now I'm everywhere.
What makes a character design iconic?
You mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Good question, because I don't know either. Like in Bleach, the writing may be ass sometimes, but you'd be lying on your grandmother's soul to say that Taikubo doesn't make the coolest characters ever. I can't tell you why I think Shinjimaru is such a cool design on like an intellectual level, but like, she's got like cool arms behind her. I feel like that's the same line of thinking when we, yes, me and you, the person watching this video, saw Jeremy. Jeremy was a character we had no idea the identity of, neither did Rebornica. So when making a character design for this mystery character, they just drew a guy with a question mark on his face. Phone guy, Ralph, Mr. Cawthon himself, guy with a red telephone head. Doll, the only doll pic I found from Rebornica was this, and the character design in question is just a blank character with the word doll on their face. And everyone ate it up too, licked the plate clean. Like I said, people still use their phone guy design to this day. It's actually odd how much Rebornica's designs resonate with people while not having much thought put into it whatsoever. And it's this character design philosophy that gave Rebornica their jackpot. Rebornica asked an important question. What if Purple Guy was really just a purple guy? The popularity of Rebornica's purple guy, which they named Vincent, was so widespread that to this day, if you look up anything related to William Afton, you'll find Vincent either front and center or lurking on the front page. He was a fan favorite, the face of Rebornica's AU. People were cosplaying him. No, this isn't just a purple guy cosplay. Look at the glazing on the wall. Look! Rebornica's characters and comics using them drew in a devoted crowd. And with FNAF 2 adding all these characters, there were new fun things to play with, like Mike and the Puppet's rivalry. And for some reason, this horny dynamic between Toy Chica.
She is such a bad bitch though.
But the Night Guard characters, which were basically their own characters, became the star of the show. I don't know why that's a trend in these micro communities. With the addition of Jeremy, Fritz, and Vincent, there was a shift, no graveyard, towards their characters specifically. Mike and Jeremy had this ship-bait relationship where Jeremy was a little twink and Mike was the unfiltered bad boy who had to constantly look out for Jeremy.
Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. Think, Jeremy, think. What would Mike do? Your balloon is freaking lame. Yeah, that's right. I said the F word.
You are the saddest sack of shit I've ever fucking seen in my entire fucking life.
Tumblr and the rest of the Chronically Online used the dynamics to justify them being gay for each other. And Fritz, he was just there, man. But of course, the main star in it all was Vincent. The headcanon said him the artist. He wasn't the man behind the slaughter. No, he was this quirky purple-colored man who adored toast and hated needles. That's all they needed to take this simple interpretation of a fucking low-quality sprite and make him the cultural juggernaut that ruled this community for 2 years. Perhaps it was just how simple the design was. Maybe it was just Rebornica's style. Maybe Rebornica just cashed in before anyone else could. But now that their human cast was fleshed out, people could use their action figures for all their shipping fantasies. And this is where things really got big, as it wasn't just only Rebornica making the content, it was now everyone following in their footsteps, making their own comics, their own animations, and AUs. They were making AUs within an AU. This is pre-Undertale. Rebornica made such a unique cast of characters out of a pre-existing cast of characters. They had set up very simple ideas, headcanons, and best of all, offered shipping material. That was the longevity that kept their AU alive, the longevity that spread it everywhere. Lore accuracy was just a suggestion. If people wanted Mike X Vincent, even though years later it turned out this was father and son, they did it anyway. That's just how the internet goes. A quirky headcanon that barely works for the IP it's sourcing its material from is far more alluring than actual canon lore. And it feels like at the peak of popularity, Veronica just vanished. Now there's a reason why Rebornica's AU is only from FNAF 1 to 2. Anything beyond that and the logic of their FNAF cinematic universe would break. As games went on, Scott decided to lock in with the lore. But what if I told you, lore actually wasn't the reason they left? It was boredom. One day they just got bored and kind of moved on. The artist that ran the FNAF community for 2 years didn't do it on purpose. No, the artist simply gave the community the characters, the material, and the fans did the rest. This giving spirit was even present in their departure as they shipped out the rights to their AU to someone else to bear that burden. And then they left the fandom behind for good. At least, that's how I wish it went down. You see, Rebornica was a really talented artist. They had a genuine talent for creating stupid characters and getting strangers to obsess over them. Even after the departure from FNAF, they had a large following obsessing over the new IP they created without being unleashed by someone else's canon. That's where I tapped in, because I was curious what happened to the artists that helped comic dub channels pay their rent. And after going through their Tumblr, I was immediately reminded why Rebornica was one of my favorite artists. I even made a Twitter account to keep up with their art once they moved there, which is saying a lot because I hate Twitter. I just liked how low stakes their art was. Not every pick was a benchmark of artistic mastery. Rebornica had a vibe to their art that I've only found in 2 other artists. That being someone who actually did Rebornica styled FNAF, Clown Zoo, Dude Where the Fuck Are You, and my current fave, Sachi. Fun pieces revolving around characters, style. The shitpost, but even in its roughest state, you can still tell the artist knows how to draw. Like, how does Sachi make an unfinished drawing look finished? And it low-key don't even need to be finished. The level of art we're dealing with when it comes to Rebornica isn't even finished art. And yeah, they can make finished art, but it's the unfinished art pieces, the sketches, the pencil and paper drawings that had 12-year-old girls making Vincent X Reader fanfictions. Bro, this is damn near a 3-hour read. Also, Rebornica is Predator number 4, by the way. Look, there's a lot of allegations, very long videos. This one had a disclaimer that was like 2 minutes on its own. That's a YouTube short, but you know the deal. No drama here, just jokes. But just know that Rebornica is an immature, toxic personality who deserves the fall from grace. There was an attempt to come back to the FNAF community, but like, holy airball! And even before that, they reused those FNAF characters for their own story and like, holy airball! And to show you just how iconic this purple bastard is, his character got split into 3 different characters, and he was still the most popular one of the recycled cast. The pivot from FNAF to their own cinematic universe was actually pretty successful. Rebornica truly had something special with their art, their characters, and their ideas. But like FNAF, they let drama ruin everything. The artist that ran the FNAF community for 2 years is still around, under yet another new alias. Hopefully this new identity comes with far less drama.
And she knows what I need to survive. The shit I'm taking isn't